Hi there, Abdullah. This response is primarily for you, but you raise issues which are probably of general interest, so I'll be addressing a wider audience as well. In my previous video, you misunderstood premature as immature. Premature simply means too soon. Given that no decent case has been made even for a generic vanilla version of God, getting at the detail of which religion is the right one is pointless and premature, in my view. I raised the issue of natural disasters, which you seem to have mistaken for the problem of evil, but I'm happy to pick up on that. Your contention was that injustice in this life proves that there has to be an afterlife. I have to say this is rather a leap. It proves no such thing. The universe owes us nothing, and any justice we fashion will be from one human to another, based on our own innate sense of empathy. The whole business about the afterlife, absent even so much as a shred of evidence, has nothing to do with the discussion. To have a meaningful dialogue, one can only bring empirical items to the table. That means miracles, the afterlife, and wild assumptions such as you've made are pretty much off the table as tools to explain your position. However, some brief comment on this subject. As you noted, some people live dreadful lives. Yet, we devalue their experience by baselessly claiming that there will be justice for them in the afterlife. You don't know that. Thus, we should seek justice for these people now. The concept of the afterlife subverts our impulse to help the suffering now, because we, and sometimes even they, feel happier knowing that a better deal in the afterlife is on the cards. Your claim that it is illogical that injustice can occur without there being a higher power to dispense justice at some later date has nothing to do with logic. It is an emotional response, which you should be applauded for, but logic it ain't. You make sweeping assumptions about how we come to be here. First off, we've no idea if anyone created us, and rather a lot of evidence that suggests the universe has developed from the vast cloud of hydrogen gas directly after the Big Bang to what we see now through natural processes that are largely understood. There is, in fact, nothing for God to do in our universe. In fact, were a Joker God to intentionally mislead us about creation, he could hardly have done a better job than the no assembly required universe that we see. Your comments about Christianity sound just like the comments Christians make about your religion. To an infidel, like myself, both camps sound trite and faintly ludicrous. If I am to argue the God case for a moment, though, the best one can possibly conclude is that God might exist. The real problem comes with the detail. Which God? What properties? Which rules? Religious wars occur because none of these things can be established with even provisional certainty. Thus, while the existence of a generic God is largely irrelevant, the practice of specific faith is downright dangerous. Disturbingly, most religious people disown religious violence, as you have done in your video, and I find this rather disingenuous. Certainly there are causes of violence that have nothing to do with religion, yet the appeal to transcendence is a powerful motivator, as 6,000 years of bloody religious history attests. Religions may not be the only irrational ideologies to infect humanity, but they are among the most powerful. To my objection that bad things that happen are all considered to be our fault, you note that there are bad people, and this is where evil comes from. I think we can agree on that there are bad people. However, this complicates the theist position by raising the questions: why did God create these people, knowing that they would be bad, knowing their deeds in advance, and knowing that they would then spend an eternity in hell as punishment for their crimes? Does this strike you as the behavior of a sane entity, let alone the most loving and caring one true God? The only response to this is, well, it's a mystery, it's beyond our understanding, to which I say, bullshit. It's perfectly obvious that this is the behavior of a monster. No metaphysics are required to make this judgment. Theists are lumbered with monstrous and tyrannous constructs like Allah and Jehovah, because they are a contradictory mishmash of evolving myths layered one on top of the other over millennia. To sum up, where does our knowledge of God come from? Our holy books. Who wrote them? A series of long-dead people on behalf of whom there is no living witness to testify. Can the claims of these books be tested? No, they cannot. Now, don't delude yourself here. They cannot be tested. If the Quran's claims could be proven, almost everyone would be a Muslim by now. It's been 1400 years. By contrast, it took about 50 years to convince every doctor on the planet to wash their hands before operations, and there was overwhelming skepticism to the concept of germ theory when it was first proposed. The probability that God exists is very low, because we live in a universe that is self-assembling through processes we can see operating today and at every level. The probability that any specific God exists is vanishingly small, because each additional piece of invented detail from the holy books reduces the probability exponentially. Good night.